It is time for quote-unquote expert picks presented by FanDuel. Yeah.
So rude.
Hey, no, he's right.
Can't wait to see how Pete did last week. Week 15 NFL games. We got a full slate. No buys.
Hey, now.
2 Monday night football games. Bears, Vikes, Falcons, Raiders, and... Oh, no, it's Prisco.
Get that graphic off the screen.
Look at that.
3-11 last week.
It is so bad.
You're dragging Kyle down with you. He was 5-9.
You know, I actually tried different things this week, and it still failed. But here's how bad things are going for me. The Cowboys were one of my picks. Okay? And
you always have an excuse.
What happened? Oh, I should cover that game, shouldn't I? The block punt, they botch it, and then they go get a touchdown.
Okay, so you'd be 97 and 124.
Well, I know, but still, I got to take it.
It's a make-or-break game.
There's been about 20 of those this year. I've been on the wrong side of all of them.
Well, look who's back. I don't know where the hell she's been for the last 2
Good to
months.
see you, Jack.
Jacqueline is here.
I didn't know that Power Rankings and the picks were in the same show.
She's like, well, it's Tuesday. We're not doing
Been gone so long.
Tuesday.
You know, didn't get the memo.
What we have for the last couple of months.
The audience craves these picks on Tuesday now because they love our records. They're so good.
We get killed by these Steelers fans, don't we?
Oh, still.
In particular,
I
the Steelers
literally opened Twitter, and it's like a daily occurrence where Pete is clapping back at someone from Pittsburgh who's talking to you. Yeah.
They hate me.
We'll see if you pick them in their matchup. We'll get to that in just a moment. But we're starting with the Rams and the Niners, and this division has been crazy. It seems like it's impossible to pick who's going to win the division. There's a new division leader every other week. Niners are 2.5-point favorites. They're kind of, I mean, they look pretty good.
They were hot this past week. They killed my best bet.
They really did. Kyle, where are you at on this matchup?
That being said, I am going to go with the Los Angeles Rams. I just feel like they're hitting their stride offensively. It's tough to match that production. But that also being said, Brock Purdy looked like a guy who's earned every single penny of that contract he's going to fall into this season. I'm going to pick the Rams, though, in this one.
Spin me around, spin me around, spin me around. I'll be dizzy, and I'll point at one of them. I'll do better than I do when I normally pick them. Seriously. But I'm going to go
Throw me around.
Niners.
Oh, you're going Niners?
I'm taking the Niners. I think that's a prideful franchise. We saw that last week. They still have life. They still can win the division.
Shanahan's
they still
a wizard.
have talents, and Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. And I think the Niners will find a way to win this game. Going out on the road on a short week is tough to do, particularly in the division. I'm going to take the Niners.
Isaac Guerrero might be out, but I mean, you guys said last week it doesn't matter who the running back is.
Yeah, take the yellow jacket off the security guy at the tunnel and just give him a helmet and tell him you run it right there inside the tackle's left leg. And we're going to get you 8 yards a pop.
You're rubbing off on him when it comes to
He's learning a lot from me. He really is.
Kyle Shanahan is pretty good when it comes to putting offensive linemen in situations where they have good leverage. He's not asking them to do things that they can't do. So you go out there. Football doesn't have to be that complicated. Shanahan makes it that way.
And his father used to do the same thing. The running backs everywhere.
The first place team in that division is playing on Sunday Night Football. It's the Seahawks at home against the Packers. And Pete, right now, this would be the wild card matchup in the NFC, or one of them, the first round of the playoffs.
Well, I don't think we'll have the Fail Mary here. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we'll have that. But I think the Packers, they've lost 4 games. 1 to the Eagles, 2 to the Lions, 1 to the Vikings. 3 of the best teams in the league, and they've lost by a total of 20 points. This team is good, and I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, so I'm not going to back away from it. I still think they're dangerous, and we haven't seen the best of them yet. We're going to start seeing the best of them. We started to see it against the Lions. I think we'll see it here. I think they go into Seattle and win the game outright.
Yeah, there's a few of these teams.
Well, aren't they 3-point favorites here?
Yeah.
They got to win by more than 3.
They'll win by 3.5.
They'll win by 3.5.
They'll win by 7. They'll win by touchdown.
I said they're going to win by 3.5. The Packers the Packers are going to win. That's just what I feel like. This Seattle team is surging, but so are the Packers, I feel like. But it doesn't reflect in that win-loss column. I think about their game against Detroit. They easily could have handled that team, but they didn't. It was a tough spot on the road. I'm going to go with the Packers here. I think they're hitting their stride. We haven't seen the best of Jordan Love yet, and I think it's going to be coming in the next few weeks.
In Canada, you get a point for a rouge when you punt the ball into the end zone. You've now
a rouge. Okay.
You've now, or a single as they call it in Canada, but you've now come up with where you get a half a point.
Yeah, 3 and a rouge.
That's a half a rouge.
Let's go. I got the Packers.
Packers.
You're going to win by 3.5.
Kyle, we have to talk about your Bears once again.
We do?
Yeah, we do.
Oh.
They're facing the Vikings, and these are two teams going in two totally different directions. The Bears have lost 7 straight. Vikings are trying to win 7 straight, and we're still wondering, at least me personally, when is Sam Darnold going to turn into Sam Darnold?
You read the top of my column today.
I didn't.
That's
I
what
wish
I
I
wrote.
did.
That's what I wrote.
I said it yesterday, too.
When is Sam Darnold?
It seems like he's getting better, though.
Haven't I been saying that? I've been saying that all year, and I can sit here right now and say I'm wrong. I don't think he's turning into Sam Darnold. I think Kevin O'Connell has fixed him. He's made him a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, but he's made him into a good quarterback. He's playing with confidence. He has great receivers. He can throw the ball around. The Bears, we saw them last week. That's not a good look. I think the Vikings handle them and blow them out.
It's amazing what can happen as a quarterback when you've got great receivers, good protection on the edges, and you've got a brilliant head coach that's an offensive-minded guy. With that being said, I've got Sam Darnold and the Vikings covering the 7 against the Bears. It was a little bit embarrassing, and you know, it was uninspiring watching that effort with their brand new interim coach in Santa Clara last week.
Yeah, what happened to the bump?
Thomas Brown and the Bears, they forgot about the bump. Okay, that was my best bet, and I'm sorry for those of you at home who have been tailing me on best bets, and I hammered home that they were going to get this juice from Thomas Brown and this offense. We're still looking for it. Okay, I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Bears have lost 7 straight games. Vikings going for their 7th straight win. At one point, Bears were 4-2, Vikings were 5-2, and the seasons have gone totally opposite since. Let's go to the other Monday Night Football game. So that Bears-Vikings game kicks off at 8, and then 30 minutes later, it's a staggered kickoff, not a doubleheader. What do we call it? A double dipper, I think is what we decided to
Why
call
are
it.
they doing this with these games?
Falcons, this is going to be the Family Guy broadcast. No, I wish. That would be that.
Buddy, that was the tweet last night.
That would be something. Falcons 4.5-point favorites in Vegas against the Raiders, and the Falcons now out of first place in the division.
I'm going to be going with the Raiders, and I think their guy Aiden O'Connell, who left in an air cast on a cart with a bone bruise.
That's the most amazing thing ever.
It's going to be back in there. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the optics of it. Okay, I thought it was a
you're laughing at
season-ending injury, but it turns out it wasn't. That being said, I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders. Aiden O'Connell's been doing more than serviceable job with that offense.
I mean, look, you're not laughing. I mean, you're glad he's not hurt. That's the best
I was
thing.
like, man, that sucks. He's been playing well.
And it was a dirty hit. He got pushed late out of bounds, and you thought that he broke his leg or something.
It was a freak deal.
And they put him in an air cast.
It was like one of those soccer injuries, right? Where the guy gets taken off. It's like he's paralyzed,
and now he's
back in the game.
And now he might play this week. And if he plays, I think they hang around in this game. Look, the Falcons have looked awful.
Is Penix playing or is Cousins playing?
Does it matter? You're going to change your pick?
It's Tuesday.
You're going to take the Raiders.
I'll take the Raiders
too.
I can't imagine Michael Penix being put in this game at Week 15. That's absolutely crazy. Falcons, 4.5-point favorites. That is on Monday night. We have more picks to come, but make sure you stay locked in to CBS Sports HQ. News, highlights, scores. We have everything you need right here on HQ, and it is all for free. And the Week 15 picks, I cannot say the word picks, are coming your way. We're looking at some games in the 1 o'clock slate, including the Chiefs, who just keep finding ways to win. Can they continue to do so against the Browns? We're going to discuss with Kyle and Pete. That's coming up on the other side. All right, expert picks continue, and I'm not going to say quote unquote like some people, presented by FanDuel.
Oh, look at this.
No.
It's a 3x3.
Wow, that was quite the CBS if I've ever heard it.
Why'd you do it, Kyle?
CBS.
You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't whistle.
I can't do it either. Don't feel bad about it. We're going to get some picks, including a big matchup with the Bills and the Lions that is on CBS at 4:25. We were starting with the Chiefs and the Browns, and I keep calling the Chiefs cat-like energy because it's like 9 lives, 12 lives. Who even knows? They just find ways to win, most recently by a doink and right between the two poles.
That was a dink. A doink goes out. A dink goes in.
Dink,
okay.
yeah.
You're right. Sorry. I didn't.
You know?
You learn something new every day. Regardless, dink, doink, who cares? They still barely won. They probably shouldn't have. Now they're going up against a Browns
Did you know that you're a dink?
No.
You know what that is?
What?
Dual income, no kids.
Wow. Yeah.
So are you then?
Yeah, I am.
That's good. You got a dog.
I got
I
cats.
do. Pete's a cat guy.
So Chiefs Browns. Chiefs Browns.
That's why he loves the Chiefs.
Browns. Yeah, who are you picking? And you guys are both kind of surprising me with your picks here because the Chiefs, to my point, they've been in a lot of close matchups, and right now they are favored by 4.5 against
I'm starting to figure out the rhythm here, and it's that the Chiefs aren't going to cover, but they're going to win. So I'm going to go with the Browns plus 4.5, Chiefs minus 4.5 here at Cleveland. I think it's obviously going to be a good football game. It always is with the Kansas City Chiefs. They're probably going to win, but the Browns will cover. So I'm going to go with the Browns.
This is like when Buffalo clinched the division and went to the Rams. Now they clinch the division, they go to the Browns. And so I think the focus might not be there as much. They'll be in a game. They'll find a way to win it, but they're not going to cover the 4.5. The Jameis Winston experience will make some plays down the field. The Chiefs' defense hasn't been as good this year, so they'll hang around in this game. I'll take the Browns as well.
I've got one football point. I didn't make any football points, so I have to make a football point. Okay. They got DJ Humphries coming in off the street to play left tackle. He went out there and he had an injury to his hamstring, getting MRI, I'm assuming yesterday or today. It was not that much better than what they had at left tackle previously. Now they run into the situation where, are we going to move our Pro Bowl left guard Joe Thuney to left tackle? Because since his time in Kansas City, he has been the best left tackle on the roster, and he's a left guard. I think they move him out to left tackle, protect Patrick's blind side, and find a way to either get Caliendo or Wanye Morris in there at left guard.
And by the way, here you go. Myles Garrett's going to
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
Chiefs have not won a game by more than 3 points in their last 5 games.
Doesn't matter. It's all about the playoffs.
Well, look, unless you're picking against the spread, which is what we're doing right now.
That's why my record is what it is.
Speaking of spreads, this is the biggest one we've seen all season. It's the Ravens laying 14.5 on the road in the Meadowlands against the Giants.
I didn't like making this pick, but coming off the bye and where they were the week before, and Lamar talking about how he's got to move around and run more, and his mom's telling him to run more, and he just didn't look right in that game against the Eagles. And I think they're going to take out all their frustration on the Giants. I think they're going to score a ton of points. I don't know if the Giants can't keep up, not with Drew Lock playing quarterback. I'm going to take the minus the 14.5. I don't love this, but I'm going to do it anyways because Lamar Jackson's going to play well in this game.
14.5 points. I mean, that's a lot of points there, bud.
Weren't the
So
Eagles,
I'm going to go on the other side.
They were 13.5.
Yeah. Ravens are going to win this game, but 14.5 points, that's a ton in the National Football League. There's parity for a reason in the NFL, and I think you can beat anybody or cover against anybody on any given week. That being said, I'm going to go with the Giants at home.
Right. Also in the 1 o'clock window on CBS, we have the Dolphins and the Texans. Despite Tua playing well right now, it feels like the Dolphins' playoff hopes are diminished. I think they have around a 13% chance to make the playoffs.
Still alive, though.
They are still alive, technically. Texans, 2.5-point favorites. Pete, where are you at in this matchup?
And by the way, one of those teams that they could catch would be the Texans if the Texans keep losing and not playing well. And they haven't played well. The Texans haven't played well all season. Even when they won games, they haven't looked right. And I think Miami, on offense, they can go in there and score some points. The offense of the Texans has to show me that they can do it. Now, Miami's defense was not good against Aaron Rodgers the other day, gave up a bunch of big plays, but I think they'll show up in this game. I'm going to take the Dolphins here.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Dolphins as well. You want to know why? Room temperature at Energy Stadium.
Yeah.
Okay, room temperature. So
they got a couple cold ones coming up later in the season.
Tua's going to be able to do what he does. I mean, there's really nobody in the National Football League that plays with as much anticipation as Tua Tagovailoa. I don't think we often give him credit enough, and I will. The Miami Dolphins would be zilch without that guy at quarterback, and I think it's important to point that out.
One of my picks for our same-day parlay was Jonnu Smith under 48.5 receiving yards. And he had none up until the last overtime, and he had 40-something in overtime.
Like 4 catches.
But they held on and won it.
Oh,
because I had the Jonnu Smith over, so I was pissed. You were dancing, and I was crying.
Let's move over to the NFC at 1 o'clock Eastern time. It's the Commanders' 7.5-point favorites in the Superdome against the Saints. Commanders still 1-game cushion in that NFC wildcard race.
Well, we got to see where Derek Carr is in this game. We don't know if he's going to play or not. If he doesn't play, that's a big loss for them. And I think the Commanders are another team coming off the bye. Quarterback needed the bye. I mean, he started to look like himself the last game before the bye, but that's good for a guy who has injured ribs. I think he comes back. I think he plays well. Fast track. I think they're going to throw it around. I like the Commanders here.
Yeah, if you can't get after Jaden Daniels, some of this off-schedule stuff is going to really kill you as a defense. And obviously with Cliff and Jaden, everything's in rhythm, everything's quick game, but the most dangerous that Jaden Daniels is when the play breaks down. I don't know if they have anybody that can truly get after him on that defensive front. I'm going to go with the Commanders on the road.
All right, this next matchup is kind of wild because the Panthers and the Cowboys, we've seen some line movement. The Panthers are favored for the first time since 2022. We were at 1.5. Now they're 2.5-point favorites against the Cowboys. And Pete, I know prior to the game last night, you were saying like the Cowboys, they're still in this.
They're not in it anymore.
You've totally changed your tune on the Cowboys after last night's performance.
They played okay last night. That's a good Bengals team. Offensively, they're really good. And I thought defensively, Dallas did some good things, and we're starting to see they got their corners back. The corners can match up. Parsons can get after the quarterback. I think he can get after Bryce Young in this game. So I'm sticking with the Cowboys in this game plus the 2.5. This is another game I don't love. I had a hard time picking it. I'll take Dallas.
Carolina Panthers fans saw them compete against the Kansas City Chiefs, and they said, "Would you look at that? We're competing against the Chiefs." And then they went and played the Bucs, and they fumbled at the end. They should have won that football game. Then they play against the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're like, maybe this guy is pretty darn good. So I think I fully anticipate this stadium to be rocking and rolling, and they want to see Bryce Young do well. I'm going to be going with the Panthers here against the Cowboys.
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous thinking about Micah Parsons going after Bryce Young. I'm nervous for Bryce Young.
I will say this, though. One of the things that the Panthers did this year, they went out and spent big money on 2 guards in Lewis and Hunt. And Ekwonu, the left tackle, is playing really well. And the right tackle, Taylor Moton's a good player. And the center's been solid. You look across the board, all of a sudden, they have a good offensive line, and they're playing
like it. It's a strength of their team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fix that offensive line, your team will get better.
This line has moved almost 10 points since the preseason. It was Cowboys minus 6.5 before the season in the look-ahead line, and now they're 2.5-point dogs. Let's go to the Bengals team that beat the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. They're in Tennessee, 4.5-point favorites, Pete.
Yeah, Tennessee's a mess, and a mess to the point where everybody wants to blame. They want to blame Levis, but you go back and watch the tape. They have 2-man routes and nobody's open. The protection isn't good. He didn't play well. They dropped a touchdown pass. Ridley took a pass on the sideline on third down late in the game. All he had to do was turn it upfield. He goes out of bounds, and they had to have 4th down play and didn't make it. They could have won the game. So there's a lot of things wrong with the Titans. The Bengals can score on anybody. They will score on this team. Joe Burrow's playing outstanding football. Chase is chasing the triple crown for wide receivers. I think he can get it. I'll take the Bengals.
Yeah, it's funny. You said 2-man routes, poor protection. That should be an oxymoron.
Right.
That should be criminal.
Correct.
Okay? When you got 2 guys out on the route, that means you got 1 guy throwing the football. There's 8 people in protection, and you got bad protection. Yep. No bueno, Haas. No bueno. So in that case, I'm going to be rolling with the Bengals. They are so much fun to watch on offense. I mean, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, the anticipatory throws, the chemistry that they've had since they were in a friggin' dorm room in Baton Rouge. It's obvious when you watch them on the football field.
If Will Levis can't put up numbers against his Bengals defense, though, he's not putting it up against anybody.
And he's sore.
Their Bengals defense is, he got beat up last week. Their Bengals defense is terrible.
All right, finally, we have a battle of 3-win teams in the Jets and the Jags. And the Jags are 3.5-point dogs at home in Jacksonville. You know, in the last game with the Jags, I think it was up until the 4th quarter where we saw a touchdown, and I feel like we might have the same energy for this matchup, Kyle.
I'm going to be going with the Jets. I mean, they played tough last week in a loss, and you hate to see that. But, you know, you talk about the Jaguars. They've got no shortage of issues themselves. I think I'm going to go with the guy, Aaron Rodgers, and the New York Jets in this one.
I'm taking Rodgers as well. Look, Mac Jones is not very good. They won the game last week, but he didn't do a lot in that game. He threw a couple bad interceptions. I think the Jets
will get after him. He was under fire back there.
The Jets will get after him. He's not very good. The Jets will get after him. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers. And look, he threw for 300 yards last week. Hey, we should clap our hands.
First time in a while.
Yeah, there you go. You know what? For everything we say about him,
300 yards.
Got to give him his flowers.
And I think he'll have a big day throwing it against this defense as well. Yeah.
And who would have thought going into the season this would be a matchup between 3 and 10 teams? The Jets were the favorites in the AFC East to start things, and a lot of people thought, like Pete, that the Jags might be in playoff position right now. The NFL today is going to be traveling to the big one this weekend.
Where's JJ?
Yeah, where is JJ? Is he already on his way to the game?
It's
the Bills and the Lions in Detroit. The NFL Today crew will be there pregame, halftime, and post.
Those guys are great.
And coming up next, we are going to pick that game between the Bills and the Lions. Detroit with the best record in the NFC, looking to stay ahead of the Eagles and the Vikings, who are right on their tail, and the Bills coming off a loss.
Back here with expert picks. I was going to say expert hot takes on CBS Sports HQ. The picks continue, though. The hot takes, perhaps those will continue as well. We have a monster matchup on CBS. Bills, Lions, Sunday, 4:25 Eastern on CBS. Perhaps a Super Bowl preview, if you will. We could see that. One of the many exciting matchups, and we're going to continue to pick all of those here on CBS Sports HQ. I'm Jacqueline D'Agostino, Chris Hassel, Kyle Long, and Pete Prisco. Again, a matchup between two serious Super Bowl contenders. Kind of a pick-em. Lions are favored by 1.5. Pete, what is your gut telling you about this? I know you've been high on the Bills really all season long, but this Lions team is no joke as well.
Oh, the Lions are very good, particularly on offense. I think this thing goes up and down the field. I think this is going to be one of those games where you sit back and you go, okay, one who gets a break or last team with the ball wins it. And I think Buffalo, the way they're playing, this is Josh Allen's moment to solidify himself the MVP. I think he does play really well. Both defenses have issues, but I think the injuries on the Lions defense will really show up here. I think in the end, it's Josh Allen. He gets the job done, and they win the game outright.
Yeah, you know what? I think the same thing. And whichever one of these groups stubs their toe offensively first, and even if that means taking 3 instead of 7, that's going to be the key determining factor in this football game. And I know that with Dan Campbell's attitude and his mindset, he's going to be understanding that that defense is thin for the Detroit Lions. They need to match production. So like we saw this past week against the Packers, we're going to see an even more aggressive version of Dan Campbell in this football game.
Please.
That being said, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills.
Maybe he'll go for it.
Josh Allen's unbelievable. I mean, and I think we're going to end up watching a game like we saw with Matt Stafford against Josh Allen this past week. Football fans are in for a treat again.
Maybe he'll go for it on his own 29. And the coaches don't do that and give the other team point-blank points. I mean, come on.
This line kind of tells you, though, that, I mean, the Bills will be favored on a neutral field.
Yep.
Well, this version of the Lions, I mean, if Hutchinson and Anzalone and all those guys
they have had injuries every week. We made a huge deal about Aiden Hutchinson getting injured and that being the thing that's going to stop this defense. But they went out. Aaron Glenn had a great plan, manufacturing pressure. But they've had guys go down every single week.
Also on CBS, if you don't get that game, you might get this one. Colts at Broncos, big game in the wild card race. If the Colts can win this, they would only be a game behind the Broncos for that last playoff spot.
This is their season on the line for the Colts right here. I mean, this is essentially a playoff game for them. They're both coming off byes, so it doesn't give either one an advantage. But I just think the Broncos have the better defense. I think Anthony Richardson's going to have problems with this defense. I like the Broncos in this spot. Bo Nix will play well. I'll take Denver.
By the way, it's an equestrian's dream, this game, Colts and Broncos. A lot of horses out there on the football field. That being said, I love the defense of the Denver Broncos. I think Bo Nix is cut out for big-time games like this. He understands the culture in a gotta-have-it situation. So does Sean Payton. I really trust the Denver Broncos to get the win in this one and to cover.
All right, and the Patriots and the Cardinals. The Patriots really not much to play for at this point, except maybe some draft picks. The Cardinals barely hanging on in that divisional race. It is a tight race, though. But Kyle, are you going with the Cardinals here to cover?
I am going to go with the Cardinals. There's too many question marks I have about this New England Patriots program. Obviously not the quarterback. I love this guy Drake May, but at the end of the day, I scratch my head every time I see Gerard Mayo at the presser. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out what the vibe is inside that locker room. I won't know because I'm not in the building. But when you've got that disjointed nature, when you've got a finger pointing at the podium, I have questions about this group. And I don't see that happening in Arizona. I like the Cardinals in this spot.
I like the Cardinals as well. They haven't played very well, though. And Kyler Murray the last couple of weeks has been very concerning to me. I mean, he just hasn't looked like the same guy that we saw before this little fall off.
We had to play Mike McDonald's defense 2 weeks.
2 out of 3 weeks, and I think that's concerning for them. But I do think they'll find a way here. Even though the Patriots are coming off a bye, I'm going to take Arizona here.
Yeah, Murray, 3 touchdown passes in the last 3 games, all losses to 5 interceptions. We got Super Bowl 59 coming up, and Jacqueline wrote down here in the notes that it's been 59 years since the Steelers won a game in Philadelphia, and this is a game here on Sunday at 4:25 Eastern.
That's a ridiculous stat.
It really is.
There.
1965.
That's
no George Pickens. I'm still going to go with the Steelers. I just feel like their culture, the way they have been galvanized with the move of having Russell Wilson at the quarterback position, Mike Tomlin loving to muddy these games up. I really feel like it's going to be a Mike Tomlin special in this one. And with the questions about the Philadelphia Eagles that are now coming out of house, we saw Brandon Graham in an interview saying that old-time buddies A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, well, there's some quarreling going on there. And now even Terrell Owens is stepping in and saying, it's not that big of a deal. Well, I'm here to tell you, it is a big deal. When your number 1 receiver and your quarterback aren't on the same page, I have some concerns there. I'm going to go with the Steelers.
Pete, I saw you doing some math in your head.
No, I was trying to figure out. You guys don't remember, but these teams were once. I don't remember either because I wasn't around then. But I know the history of the league. They were once merged together, and they were the Steagles.
Oh,
Steagles.
Look it up.
That's real life.
That's true.
Back when you were a kid.
Back when I was a kid. Back when might have been a glean in my grandpa's.
He was like, that couldn't have been 59 years ago. I remember that.
Not even my dad's glean in his eyes. My grandpappy. No.
That's back when cavalry rode horses.
You gave in. You gave in. You're afraid of the Steeler Nation. You gave in.
No, I had nothing to do with that.
What's going on with you guys and the Steelers?
Look, I went to the place when they used to call it Heinz, Acrisure now. I went to Heinz Field as a rookie, and we punched those guys right in the mouth. We beat them on that. I don't have any fear in my heart,
but when you got the helmet on, it's one thing. But now you're taking it from Steeler Nation, and you gave in. You picked the Steelers.
Here we go.
Here you go, Steelers.
This is the team of destiny, man.
He's going to have a terrible towel soon. He gave in. But you know what? I didn't give in. I'm taking the Eagles. I think the Eagles will physically maul them in the run game, and I think they're going to have success. I know it's 5.5 points. That's telling you.
Here we go.
And by the way, 59 years, I'm sticking with the history. I'm taking the Eagles.
I thought when you pointed your finger on the desk, you were going to look straight into the camera and give a message to Steelers Nation. I felt it was coming. Here's your opportunity if you want to do it.
Not me. Look, they are killing me, and deservedly so, because I said they would finish last in the division. You're not finishing last, but you're not winning it all either.
Oh, all right. Also, I called you a couple times trying to fact check my math.
Well, the look on his face, he was like, that couldn't have been 59 years ago.
Yes, it was.
Well, you did the math in your head. It took you a while.
I know how old I am.
I saw the look on your face.
I know. I was just trying to remember when the Steagles were. That's what I'm trying to think. Go look and see when the Steagles were.
All right.
It's amazing.
Okay, so Pete's not afraid of Steeler Nation.
He is.
He's going
he backed out.
Kyle might be. I don't know.
Please, Steelers Nation, leave me alone.
Okay. We have to go to the Bucs and the Chargers. When I look at this matchup, I think, I don't know, who do I trust more in the situation? I'm not really sure. Pete, what do you like here? Because the Chargers, they were 2.5-point favorites, total at 46 and a hook.
This was a tough game for me to pick.
Yeah.
And it really is. I think it's a really underrated game of the whole week. Both these teams are really good. I think the Chargers will find a way being back home after what happened the other night. They really look good on defense. They did some good things. It's going to be a tough challenge for the Bucs. Long trip. I'll take the Chargers.
Yo, Quentin Johnston catching the football.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love to see that. That being said, I think the line should be like 3.5, 4 maybe for this game. But I'm going to pick the Chargers in this one at home. Long way to go for the Buccaneers. And it's tough because I love Baker Mayfield and this Bucs offense. But I think that what we've seen from Jim Harbaugh and his team, they compete week in, week out. I love this Chargers group.
Well, maybe the Chargers will win by 2.5 and you can get a push.
There you go. Get a push.
All right. It is now time for our best bets, which is for some reason called Prisco's Picks. We'll have to figure that out for next season. It's presented by FanDuel.
Because you know why?
Hass is on a heater right now.
It's like it's bothering him because he has a better record. I mean, we're going to call it Hassel's Picks. How about that?
Look at Jacqueline's back. She's only made 5 picks. It's been a while. She's looking to get back to 500. I've hit 5 in a row.
You're dominating.
I am on Kyle's tail. I'm only 2 back.
You're so hot.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first. You know what? Hot guy's going first.
I like the Bengals minus 4.5 at the Titans, and I know you guys do too because you both picked the Bengals in that game. The Titans are a mess. Bengals can score a ton of points, and I think they're gonna easily cover that spread. 4.5.
I didn't realize my pick was going to be like controversial when I did it, but I'm actually going with the Steelers at plus 5.5.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of Steeler Nation. My dad grew up in West Mifflin. I like the Steelers. I don't bet against Mike Tomlin, and I'm going to go against history. I feel like the Steelers team is just playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they're saying 59 years, who gives? And they're going to cover. I don't know if they'll win, but they'll cover.
Change history.
Bucking history.
Oh, God, I thought you said something else.
Same. I was like, whoa.
I got the Broncos minus 4.5 versus the Indianapolis Colts. I just feel like this is a spot where the Denver Broncos are going to, they're going to swell up a little bit against Anthony Richardson in this offense. Shane Steichen's a really smart guy. They're still playing for a spot in that playoffs. And Sean Payton loves to spoil some parties, doesn't he?
Yeah, they'll win by 4.5. I'm going to take, call me the master of the obvious because I'm going the over. I'm going back to my totals.
This never works for you, Pete.
Well, nothing else is working.
Every time you say a game's getting
This is actually really smart.
Nothing else is working for me, so I'm going to try something different. I'm going back to the overs.
This really isn't different for you.
Yeah, it is.
If it's different, you'd go under.
I haven't picked one in a long time. This one is going to get loose. Both teams are going deep into the 30s. It's going to be an epic game up and down the field. It's going to
be like the Rams Bills.
Looser than a loose meat sandwich for Pete.
Loose meat sandwich. I want one of those. Send me one of those from Iowa, please.
Shout out to Des Moines.
The producer pick is Cowboys plus 4.5 in Carolina against Bryce Young.
2.5.
I'm sorry, 2.5 against.
They wish it was 4.5.
Plus 2.5 against Bryce Young and those Carolina Panthers. Good luck to everybody in Week 15.